Hey everyone, it is nostalgia time once again, and welcome to the first part of the Toshiba mini series, where we're going to be looking at various Toshiba models. So, in this first part, I've got 6 different models to take a look at. The first one, not just the first one, the first two actually, are from Toshiba's SEMP lineup, which I believe are lines of netbooks. So this is the lens that we're going to be looking at first. And this one actually came with the starter edition of Windows XP, which I believe is something we have not covered yet. So, from what it looks like right now, these first two come in a OS and app CD, both of which are separate. So it is starting here. And we can see that this setup is entirely automated, so it's not asking, accept the license agreement, repair with this disk, or anything like that. It just goes straight to the good stuff, where it does it all on its own. Now, this should play out very similarly to a standard XP install, so let's just skip right to the out-of-box experience then. So, while it did look like an install, it looks like it's already setting up as an. Let's see if I can log in as the administrator. I guess it doesn't work. Does the command line work here? I don't think it does. I don't think so. Yeah, because we can't log in. So this is as far as we will get, but I can tell you that Starter Edition is pretty much just like the other editions of XP. However, there's a limit of only 3 windows open each time. We move on now to the STI ES1682, which actually shipped with Windows Vista. And once again, this is just a standard installer as it loads. But just like the other one, this one is entirely automated. Well, it was almost automated because it just went through the first screen, where you pick your language, click next, and then install now. This one also shipped with Starter. This is Vista Starter. And that's it. All we just need to do is accept the license agreement and then the install begins. So that's as automated as it gets. Pretty nice, right? Just skip that first screen where it has you select your language, click next, install, accept the agreement, how do you want to install Windows, custom, choose your drive, all that. So it just knows to do the root immediately, and now it'll just do the rest from there. So here is what looks to be just a standard out-of-box experience of Vista. Let's go with the dog. Why not? And you can see here's the starter. We have the starter backgrounds. So this is the one by default. Here's what looks to be a canyon. And then here's a waterfall. That's the 3. But then there are some ones that are also provided by Toshiba themselves. We have this sunflower, this nice, beautiful looking mountain, and this nice picturesque stream. That actually might be kind of good. So, well, let's do that one. And it didn't ask about updates or anything, so that automated it even more. It didn't ask about afterward, like how do you want to set your update settings? Like, do you want to disable updates for now and set it up later? Have it update automatically and review date and time settings? What's your network details? Normally, it would ask for that after this point, but it seems like it's been skipped here. And no sound. And I can see that we don't have the background, which is a sign. Now this color would be used as the logon screen wallpaper in both Server 2008 and 2008 R2. And here it is. Here is the desktop. And there's Vista's Welcome Center that still opens on boot. I could see the recycle bins in like a lower quality for some reason, but I suppose that's how it should look. And there's the watermark at the bottom, letting us know that this is Vista Starter. And if we go into all programs, we'll see that we just have Mail 7, but we don't really have too much else. But I also saw an installer for Adobe Reader 7 or 8. But otherwise, this is just a standard install of Vista Starter with nothing else to report. As we go to the computer properties, this is actually Vista Starter RTM, the original released manufacturing build. With that down there is Toshiba's support information. And then we have a multimedia tool. I think it says this cannot be ran, but that's alright. So that's everything to see on this machine. This just shut down. So the Libretto U100. Now this disc was actually modified so it can work on a virtual machine. So here we have an MS-DOS menu. We are going to do 1 to restore the hard disk. Caution, the contents of the hard disk will be deleted. So we'll press 1 to proceed. And now it will begin copying everything over. We could see Cement Tech Ghost is doing everything on its own. And this is what the complete screen looks like. But because it's a VM, you have to click the Control-Delete key at the top. And now it is restarting into XP. So here's the out-of-box experience. No music though, but there is the Toshiba logo up on top. Let's try and set everything to United States, even though this is a UK copy. For standard layout, select US. And so US. Yeah, we could proceed with it being in the United States. Interesting. Interesting. So we'll set that to Central Time. And considering that had a date of 2000, I believe this is RTM. But we are about to find out. So here we have Toshiba's registration and Microsoft's registration, but we'll say no to both of those. And next, and that should be the end of it. So here it is. You can see we have a pretty nice looking background. It says choose freedom. I'll definitely be choosing freedom. Right here we have Toshiba's page about Norton's components. And about this is a 90-day trial. You could use the renew function to renew. Add a new user to OmniPass. I think we've seen this one before. Domain machine. Authentic fingerprint device. But I can see we have a bunch of Toshiba programs, of course. So nothing new here. We have a card bus driver. No special games. We have WinDVD Creator 2 and WinDVD version 5. We have Office 2003. It actually only comes with one note, I can see. Norton OmniPass, the Sonic Record Now, Adobe Reader, and then Toshiba's networking drivers and components. But what's virtual sound? So that's the sound settings. Well, let's look at each of them. I also see Adobe Reader 7, and that's really all there is to see. So this is where you choose your region for your modem. And then we have config free, which gives like I think it's like a troubleshooting for internet connections. That's this is where you search for wireless devices. Wow, that's pretty cool. The way that looks. And then that's part of that. Modem on hold. So it looks like this is a pop-up menu that goes down to the background, and here we can, it takes us back to the same menus we were at before. And then in utilities here, we have Toshiba's, well, we cannot use accessibility. I believe it's like an alternative to Windows accessibility features. HDD protection, which just like we've seen, if it detects vibration, it'll automatically move the drive head to a safe position to prevent damage. And then this is the hotkey utility. Can configure hotkeys for the system. Password utility, I think that's for the BIOS protection. PC diagnostic is where you get basic information here on the system. And then the diagnostic tool, you can run diagnostic tests on certain components, if anything's going wrong. And then quick launcher is, I believe, I believe there are essentially buttons on the device, and I believe you can assign buttons a specific command. Like on the HP machines, there's on that HP desktop, there's a internet button that opens up Internet Explorer, whatever default browser you set. There's a music thing that opens up a music player, and then we have SD memory boot, so you can boot from an SD card or floppy disk. And then memory card format, that's where you format your floppy, those devices. Toshiba assists, you just hover over components. Well, basically, what this is as you hover over a icon or selection, you'll get basic information on what the tool will actually do. So you can see you can use this as like a database. You could use that to undo any changes to your system. Virtual sound. Pretty much this is where you can tell where the sound should come out of. If you have like speakers or headphones. Zooming utility is let's set it so it opens up. Let's set it so it does it on all those programs. So let's see if it'll kick in. It's probably not going to. And then we have their warranty registration card. So this is just like what we saw earlier. And again, Adobe Reader 7. We also have the user's manual. So here's the manual, and there on the left is the table of contents. But now some computer manufacturers, and I think a majority of them, are going back to the old way. But we can go here to the password utility and we can see what it is. So it says, once a password is set, you'll be prompted to enter it when you start the computer. So that utility sets up a password in the BIOS. So when you turn the machine on after it does the post, you'll be prompted to put your password in. You have to put in a separate password in order to boot up Windows. So once you put the password into the BIOS, then Windows XP will boot, and then you could then put in a Windows password as well. Well, of course, a Windows password is different from a BIOS password. It's for two separate things. And I think the BIOS password is an equally greater amount of data protection, because what if the laptop gets stolen and someone tries to access it? Then by the time they restart it, they'll be locked out because they won't know what the BIOS password is. But in some cases it's a plus, but if you forget it, it's going to be a huge problem. And we can see we have a whole bunch of Toshiba backgrounds. Here's another one. I'm not sure what that looks like. Here's a they're having it in a lot of resolutions. Dang. Here's the one we have right now, and we have this. We have the Toshiba logo up close. Oh boy, that's pretty neat. So 2 machines out of 6 were successful so far. So now we move on to the SEMP Toshiba, well, a different one. This is actually a Windows 7 Home Basic 32-bit. I believe this is an install disk, a standard installation disk. So we'll just let it start up. But otherwise, the whole thing should be pretty similar to everything else we've seen. So just like Vista, this one is furthermore automated. It already selected the language for us. Well, that's interesting. It already skipped the license agreement. Nice. So this is as automated as it gets. So we will just let this proceed, and we will have another successful Windows install ready in no time. So after one quick system preparation session, here we are at the out-of-box experience. Didn't ask for a language or anything, but I do like the background though. So we'll type in our name here. I'll call this SEMP7HB. No password. And this is the original released manufacturing build of 7 Home Basic. And here it is. The only thing we see on the desktop is the 9th version of Adobe Reader, just as it is. And is that all we get? It looks like that's it. But wow, this looks like a pretty slimmed down installation, that's for sure. Looking at the properties, yep. Released to manufacturing build. 32-bit SEMP Toshiba, there's our contact information. And that's really all there is to see here, so let's move on to the L300, the last machine of the episode. So, here it is. We get a very unique looking screen here with language selection, and we can see what it looks like in various languages, but it only applies to this UI. It does not apply to the Windows installation that we're about to install. So we'll click OK. And as you can see, now this part is doing its work and applying the image. Well, this is not the way I'd like to end the episode, but unfortunately, yeah, this machine does not want to go. So I've got 6 more in part 2 of the Toshiba miniseries, and we will see you next time for that.